can open a Sagicor Bank savings account from anywhere. Go online and open yours today.
The time by Sagicor Bank is
7 o'clock. CVM News at 7, headlines Thursday, brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy.
Tonight in CVM News at 7, government and opposition spar over general election timeline. Dr. Dawes hits back in KPH mold dispute, and Operation Zero launched amidst Norwood ZOSO. Inquiry this, absentee parent seeks custody. What happens next? Industry leaders weigh in on new U.S. tariffs in the business report. And in sports, UK set to host the 2035 Women's World Cup.
CVM News at 7, headlines Thursday, brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy.
Should critical illness strike, don't let worry fill your head. Say hello to happiness and goodbye to worry with Guardian Life's new Ultimate Provider Plan. Secure your medical expenses in the event of critical illness ahead of time while benefiting from more investment portfolio and so much more. Give yourself and your family the peace of mind you deserve with Guardian Life's new Ultimate Provider Plan today. And live secure, live easy.
From Kingston, Jamaica, this is CVM News at 7. It's Thursday, April 3, 2025. I'm Nika Lewis. Thank you so much for joining us. Another conflict appears to be emerging between the government and the opposition regarding constitutional matters. This situation began when Constitutional Affairs Minister Marlene Malahoo Forte issued a public warning about the actual timing of the upcoming general elections. In response, the opposition raised questions concerning both the timing and intentions behind the minister's statement. With more, here's Jebbinson.
The Constitutional Committee in Gordon House on Wednesday was partially attended, but still managed to generate headlines. The chair and Constitutional Affairs Minister Marlene Malahoo Forte said she has taken note of public and media comments that general elections are due by September.
That is not constitutionally correct. What the Constitution provides for is an outer life for the date of Parliament, and that is 5 years, and the life of the Parliament commences on the first sitting of the Parliament.
She further explained that there has to be some room between the date of the election and the first parliamentary sitting.
Because we know that the electoral laws require formalities to be complied with about counting, and sometimes space has to be given for recounts, judicial recounts.
The first sitting of the current parliament was on September 15, 2020, which means the 5-year anniversary will still be September. The opposition finds the timing of the minister's comments curious. PNP General Secretary Dr. Dayton Campbell said the minister's intervention appears designed to inject uncertainty and confusion. Campbell continued, "It reeks of desperations and appears to test the patience of people who are already demanding meaningful change." He said expectations for the polls by September is not merely political but constitutional. Dr. Campbell called on Prime Minister Andrew Holness to urgently clarify the purpose of the minister's comments and to reassure the nation that there will be no attempt to delay the election or interfere with the constitutional timeline. He ended by saying the country needs leadership, not evasion, distraction, or constitutional mischief. The Constitution says that Parliament, unless sooner dissolved, shall continue for 5 years from the date of its first sitting after any dissolution. There is an exception. For example, if Jamaica is at war, then the Prime Minister can delay. The Constitution also speaks about emergencies. However, those are not defined. Jebbinson, CVM News.
Switching now to crime, the police have launched a zero murder initiative amidst the Norwood ZOSO in St. James. We have the details. Despite recent opposition to several zones of special operations, ZOSOs, across the country, with critics questioning their usefulness and results, two of St. James' once grittiest communities recorded near zero murders in 2024. The police are hailing the crime-fighting tool established first in Mount Salem and replicated across several other communities and parishes for the decline. They are inspired to push even harder, launching another life-saving initiative this week called Operation Zero in the Norwood ZOSO.
This is in relation to maintaining zero murders in the space of Norwood. Last year we had a zero murder year, and we intend to keep it that way for this year. During the operation this morning, we recovered one 9mm Glock pistol equipped with a chip which modifies the weapon to fire an automatic. At a second location, we recovered 9mm cartridges. Two persons were taken into custody for that find. With respect to the first find, the 9mm Glock pistol, no one was taken into custody. This weapon was found under an abandoned building, along with some lead sheets that is used in the lottery scamming.
There were also other detentions elsewhere as the operation lasted for hours. The ZOSO commander shares that targeted operations and activities have yielded all-round results, impacting the overall murders in the parish.
Where St. James is concerned, I can tell you, St. James has shown the biggest decrease in murder since the start of the year. Yesterday at our regular tasking meeting, St. James was showing a 67% decrease in murders. So St. James, throughout the entire island, is showing the biggest decrease in murder. So where St. James is concerned, we are doing exceptionally well in St. James.
They are commending the locals for their support and successes, a feature they say is being seen as Jamaicans show their strong disapproval for crime and violence.
Also looking for zero in Mount Salem. And I can tell you that the persons in Mount Salem too, they have been working with the police because people are tired of the murders that used to happen in St. James. So right around, the citizens are saying it is our time now. We want to rid ourselves of these murders that used to happen, and we are getting there. Last year, St. James showed one of the biggest decrease in murders for 2024, and this year again, we're at it, and we intend, as the commander, SSP Samuels says, our aim this year is to try to get murders under 50, and that is the target we're working with. It is achievable, and if we continue in the zone of Norwood and Mount Salem to have zero murders, I am sure that it will greatly assist St. James because these are some of the troubled spots.
Murders for the first quarter of 2025 have shown tremendous declines, with opposition members joining the hymn of praise for the police commissioner and his team of crime fighters. A licensed firearm holder's bail is still pending as key evidence could not be reviewed. We hear this update from Adrian Williams.
Licensed firearm holder Patrick Thompson will be further remanded after seeking bail following a February shooting at a candlelight vigil in Manchester. The incident left 2 women dead and 3 others injured moments after an alleged fender bender. He appeared Wednesday in the Manchester Parish Court. Thompson's attorney, King's Counsel Peter Champagne, says his client will know if bail was granted after delays surrounding an inability to review key video evidence.
Suffice it to say that the clip that we believe would have been most useful for transparency purposes and the direction of this case, unfortunately, we were not able to capture that.
Despite the situation, Champagne urges the public to let the court do its due diligence.
This should not be a case that is tried in the public's domain. Yes, we appreciate the fact that there is public interest in the matter, and persons ought to be aware of or are interested in knowing what is happening, but ultimately it's a matter for the court.
Presiding Judge Monique Harrison is to deliver her decision on whether Thompson will or will not be granted bail on April 14 of this year. Adrian Williams for CVM News.
Police reports say major crimes are reducing, but many Jamaicans continue to fall victim to financial crimes, including bank fraud and consumer scams. In response, the National Crime Prevention Fund Crime Stop has joined forces with the National Commercial Bank, NCB, to strengthen security measures against these threats. Courtney Lewis has the details.
Major crimes are on the decline, but more Jamaicans continue to suffer from the personal crime of bank and consumer fraud. It's why the National Crime Prevention Fund Crime Stop has partnered with the National Commercial Bank to implement systems to prevent such crimes.
Through this renewed 3-year agreement, we are doubling down on that fight with anonymous reporting tools embedded in NCB's platforms, empowering customers and staff to speak up safely, public education campaigns to expose the tactics of scammers and money launderers, rewards for actionable tips, because every Jamaican who steps forward is a partner in justice.
The Crime Stop chairperson says the program will leverage technology to stay ahead of cyber criminals and empower whistleblowers to expose scams like phishing without fear. The initiative comes as the 2023 Crime Victimization Report logs 14.2% of individuals experienced a personal crime like local bank fraud, robberies and burglary between November 2022 and October 2023. Although the survey painted an image of the past, the chairman of the Crime Monitoring and Oversight Committee, CMOC, Lieutenant Commander retired George Overton, believes the sentiments of Jamaicans hasn't changed.
As the US and the Jamaican authorities are putting the squeeze on the scamming and all of those other things, persons who have been involved in that criminal activity are now going to go back to the easier and older ones. So yes, we are going to see shootings and murders down, but we're going to see the robberies and housebreakings go up.
Overton says greater police presence and strengthening community bonds can be beneficial, but encourages the security stakeholders to balance the scale in crime fighting.
We need to now start to look back and ensure that not only are we dealing with the shooting and the murders, but also dealing with the crimes against the person, the robbery, the housebreaking, the bank account scamming, those kinds of things. We have to focus on those as well.
Courtney Lewis for CVM News.
CVM News at 7 continues in a moment.
Calvin?
Yes, miss.
I need you to go to the Transport Authority for me today to renew all the motor vehicle road licenses. I can't afford for you to spend all day at the Transport Authority. I have a lot of errands for you to run for me today.
Miss, you don't hear them say you can renew online any day, anytime, easy.
No, but that sounds good. What do I need to do?
You can always log on to ta.org.jm.
Oh, that means we have a lot more time for you to run other errands.
Boy, miss.
Let me check it out. Easy as 1, 2, 3.
Brunswick boneless sardines, perfect for snacking on a cracker, on its own. Snacking made easy, snacking made healthy, snacking made tasty.
People always say me and Tammy is couple goals. You are our couple goals.
Babsy says, I asked Tommy to take care of Carlin from me because I'm busy. And he did take care of her.
I met Winnie and she whispered in my ear and she says, I thank you for the music.
I got into an argument with him. You hear me sing my song and you copy it.
Oh, where I said Bob Marley accused Tommy Cowan to thief him song. When Uncle Tommy young in a hot boy, then Tessie, you know, auntie, me no, you know.
The Cut, brought to you by Flow.
Welcome back. U.S. Navy officer Leota Bradshaw and her 3 co-accused charged in connection with the murders of politician Philip Polwell's 10-month-old daughter Soraya and her mother Toshna Patterson will return to court on June 5 for a trial date to be set. The 4 appeared virtually before the Home Circuit Court today, where Justice Lorna Shelley Williams ordered remand. Prosecutors say they have received key forensic and cybercrime reports and are now ready to proceed. Bradshaw is accused of orchestrating the abduction and murder, allegedly hiring hitmen and conspiring with her cousin Roland Balfour. The victims were reportedly taken from their St. Andrew home last September, shot, and their bodies burnt in East Kingston. 2 other men, Richard Brown and Rashane Miller, have already pleaded guilty to charges relating to the incident. Brown was sentenced with conspiracy to murder, while Miller pleaded guilty to 2 counts of misprision of felony, failing to report the crime. Concerns are mounting over the state of Jamaica's healthcare system as allegations of hazardous mold at Kingston Public Hospital spark a heated political clash.
The opposition is calling it a crisis, while the government insists the issue is already being handled. But with the operating rooms affected and patient care disrupted, the debate seems far from over. A political and medical clash over Jamaica's public healthcare system is deepening, with opposition spokesperson on health, Dr. Alfred Dawes, expressing sharp disappointment in newly appointed government Senator Dr. Elon Thompson. Dawes has accused Thompson of downplaying what he calls a crisis at the Kingston Public Hospital, where alleged mold contamination has disrupted hospital operations. On Tuesday, Dr. Dawes sounded the alarm, claiming operating theaters had been shut down due to hazardous mold, putting patients at risk. But by Wednesday, Senator Dr. Thompson fired back, accusing Dr. Dawes of politicizing an issue the health ministry was already addressing. On Thursday, Dr. Dawes countered, calling his colleague's response disheartening and urging him not to let politics cloud his professional integrity.
Elon and I didn't enter this profession because it was easy or popular. We entered it because we believe in service, in putting people first, and in defending lives above all else. That is why it is deeply disappointing to see someone with his reputation allow politics to cloud the clarity of that calling. This is bigger than party lines. It's about people.
Dr. Dawes says Dr. Thompson, a respected figure in medicine, risked damaging his hard-earned reputation by downplaying the severity of the issue.
Disappointment to the Senate was a tremendous opportunity for Elon, not just to add credibility to the government's narrative, but to rise above it. It was a chance to show that he answers to a higher calling, the well-being of the Jamaican people. But if defending the indefensible becomes the price of political involvement, he risks losing the very integrity that his patients and peers have long admired.
But Senator Thompson isn't backing down. On Wednesday, he insisted the government had already taken action and dismissed Dr. Dawes' claims as political posturing.
Unlike the former PNP government, the Jamaica Labour Party administration is not into the business of hiding challenges associated with our healthcare system. If he's being honest, Dawes must recognize that the government has invested heavily in upgrading infrastructure, availability of equipment, and service delivery. There is much work to be done, but some positives have been achieved.
Joining the debate, PNP General Secretary Dr. Dayton Campbell came to Dr. Dawes' defense, stressing that the mold crisis is real and must be fully addressed.
The People's National Party is calling for immediate action, full remediation of all affected areas, a national hospital audit, and a proper plan to protect the people who protect us, our doctors, nurses, and also the patients. We also demand answers. Who knew and why was nothing done? This is about lives, and the time for excuses is over.
Dr. Campbell says testing at the KPH found dangerously high levels of mold in 18 of 20 areas, warning that lives are at stake. The opposition is demanding urgent and transparent national action, arguing that restoring public trust in Jamaica's health system must transcend political lines. Shante McNeil, CVM News.
Global technology company Intcomex will not be fazed by the recent imposition of U.S. tariffs on exports. Well, though they do not export locally made gadgets, the impact is still expected to affect business. In bridging the digital divide, Adrian Williams takes us to today's expo to find out how they will be maintaining their sales in tech brands like Next and Clip Extreme.
Intcomex Jamaica Limited, a premier distributor of computer and other digital products, is looking to the future for its 25th anniversary. Speaking at their Intcom Expo, Managing Director for Intcomex Jamaica, Matthew De Leon, says the company is looking ahead even amidst a new tariff imposition by the Trump administration.
There will be an impact, but we will make sure that it's not as big an impact as it will be for other industries. The good thing for us is that we are able to do distribution and logistics through outside of the United States, which I think will benefit the Jamaican market tremendously because we'll be able to keep our prices down. There are some select products that we will have to buy directly through the United States, and those will be impacted by the tariffs that we're seeing coming into play now.
Industry and Commerce Minister Senator Aubin Hill highlighted the importance of bridging the digital divide in moving forward with technology, which he wants others to join in with Intcomex.
Boy, we have bright people, and Intcomex has lots of technology, and with those two together, technology and bright Jamaican people, we can become a rich country, because we cannot become a rich country selling to only 3 million Jamaican people who have $7,000 as per capita GDP. We have to expand around the world, and services is the airplane in which we're going to travel.
As a distribution company, it aims to deliver bulk services to companies for resale to end users.
And we work with our customers so that they can collaborate and be able to pass on the technology to the consumer.
The company has bolstered its brand, driving the country into a digital future. Adrian Williams reporting for CVM News.
Lots more to come in CVM News at 7 right after the break.
I go give you plenty healthy ways to switch up your meals. Fresh flavor that we need. A new recipe every day of the week. And look how good me feel. Come catch the vibe. Rainforest, catch the seafood vibe.
Episode 10.
Wagwan people, we got as far as the nearest parish. We're headed to Portmore today.
Tana, Greater Portmore Tabernacle.
There's no walls to this church.
This real. This real.
Pat a pat, 2 a 2, pat plus 2, me say equal to 2. Can make the wolf and the patu.
Here we come, Celine, Road.
1 a 1, 2 a 2, 1 plus 1.
This is Grand Slam Track.
Jif. 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 Me turn up in ya. Move. Boo. Jif. Me turn up in ya.
Only the fastest.
I bet me turn up over this up. One over this up, them turn up over this up. See a hot girl, me a call.
Thanks for staying with us. There are many cases where an absentee parent who's had little to no involvement in a child's life suddenly reappears and demands custody years later. But is this a right such an individual should have? In this week's edition of Query This, Shante McNeil dives into the legal complexities of custody battles when one parent seeks to take charge after being absent for so long.
Query this. You and your common law husband separate after 6 years. You've been the primary caregiver for your 5-year-old son with no support from the father. Now, years later, he returns demanding full custody, claiming you're financially unfit. But you say he's been absent and is only seeking custody out of spite. Now, who should get custody, and what does the law say?
The person that have love. Love conquered all, right? So when you have love, you take more care of the child because you love the child. But having the money and don't have any love, it doesn't make any sense.
You know, some father, don't care. Or them don't want to take up no responsibility and things like that. Him don't care him running. But if him having holding money now, him can go ahead. I don't see nothing to stop him.
Both parents supposed to have custody of that child and take care of that child. Supposed to share equal.
Me a motherly love man, you know. So I say mother to the world. Don't go with no father, I don't have no father.
Familiarity, maintenance, and the child's welfare are all factors attorney-at-law Sanjay Smith explains will come into play when determining who gets custody of the child. He explored the Children's Guardianship and Custody Act, which he explains that simply desiring to have full custody of the child isn't enough. He explains that the father may encounter some hurdles.
What happened in the first 5 years? Why weren't you there? Now, you mentioned the age of 5, and there is a legal obligation for a child to be in school at 5 years old. So the maintenance comes into question along with the custody. So the court will examine which is a better household, how much a child will need, and if needs be, they will have somebody from the relevant agency do a home visit to examine all these factors.
Absence doesn't automatically disqualify a father from custody. If he can prove it's the child's best interest, the court may rule in his favor. But if the mother is truly struggling financially, it doesn't mean she loses custody. The court has options like child maintenance orders or structured visitation arrangements.
You can have a custody order which encompasses visitation or shared custody, if you will, different situations. I've seen cases where one party, of course, will have primary custody, and then the other person may have, the child every other week, or liberal visitation or specific visitation.
At the end of the day, it all comes down to what's in the child's best interest. And that wraps up this week's Query This. If you're facing a legal dilemma, whether it's a family matter, a dispute with a neighbor, or a business issue, let's get your answers. Email me at cmcneil@cvmtv.com with your Query This, and I'll help you navigate the law. Until next time, I'm Shante McNeil.
Jordan Forte is present to tell us what to expect in sports.
Present, of course. Grand Slam track, Nika, as you know, gets going tomorrow. It's the inaugural staging of the cash-rich event, of course, spearheaded by U.S. legendary former athlete Michael Johnson. And that gets going in Kingston tomorrow. We'll have all the previews for you and the excitement while it continues to build. Of course, the Jamaica Scorpions still going about their merry way in the regional 4-day competition. We'll have that for you. Plus, JPL midweek action. Those and more in sports.
Lots to look forward to, but that's after this break on CVM News at 7.
People always say, me and Tammy is couple goals. You are our couple goals.
Babsy says, I asked Tommy to take care of Carlin family because I'm busy. And he did take care of her.
I met Winnie and she whispered in my ear and she says, I thank you for the music.
I got into an argument with him. You hear me sing my song and you copy it.
Oh, where I say Bob Marley accused Tommy Cowan to thief him song. When Uncle Tommy young in a hot boy and then Tessie, you know, auntie, me know, you know.
The Cut, brought to you by Flow.
New KFC saucy wings tossed in savory mango habanero or buffalo sauce. KFC, it's finger looking good. The time by KFC is
7:30.
Episode 10.
Wagwan people, we got as far as the nearest parish. We're headed to Portmore today.
Tana, Greater Portmore Tabernacle.
There's no walls to this church.
This real. This real.
Pat a pat, 2 and 2, pat plus 2, me say equal to 2. Can make the wolf and the patu.
Here we come, Celine, Road.
1 and 1, 2 and 2, 1 plus 1.
10, 9, 8, 7.
CVM TV in association with Express Fitness and Exodus Carnival presents Fit for Fet, the ultimate workout series to get your body ready for the road. Tune in 5 a.m. every morning, Mondays to Fridays, starting April 7th to get involved in high-impact workouts by some of the best in the game. Bring your mats, bring your water, and let's get fit for the fit with Express Fitness and Exodus Carnival, powered by CVM TV.
Thanks for staying with us, but we go now to the business report with Joel Crosskill.
Lots to share with you in the business report today, based on reactions from the business community in Jamaica to the US government's announcement of a 10% reciprocal tariff regime on local exports to the largest economy in the world. Jamaica currently exports approximately $1 billion in goods to the US, while imports total approximately $3 billion. Economist Keenan Faulkner was among the first to weigh in on the potential immediate impact of the measures.
When we talk about reciprocal tariffs, what the American administration has done is to sort of aggregate both tariff and non-tariff barriers. And they said that they have now added that together and divided by half. So those countries that have especially more punitive tariffs on the US will now get more punitive tariffs in response, whereas Jamaica and other countries that did not have any tariffs get a baseline of 10%.
In fact, the details and structure of the tariffs are not yet totally clear, as shared by Senator Albin Hill, Minister of Investment, Industry and Commerce.
We don't even know the details yet of all the tariffs. The Foreign Ministry and Minister Kamina Johnson-Smith, they're getting all the details, working with the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce. But even while we get those, we know that we are resilient people. We know that in the past 10 years, we have learned how to manage an economy. And yes, we're going to take on these challenges because Jamaica is going to have to succeed, whether we have exogenous shocks like the pandemic, like the weather shocks from hurricane or shocks from tariff.
Mitri Siaga, president of the private sector organization of Jamaica PSOJ, spoke in relative terms about the opportunities that may emerge.
You know, it's new for us because we had the CBI, which gave us zero duties. Now we're 10%. But the truth is, other countries like China are up to close to 50%. So we still have a 40% quote-unquote advantage. So I'm going to choose to look at this as an opportunity, as an advantage, as a way to say, listen, Jamaican companies have a better deal than everybody else in the world, or at least as good a deal as anyone else in the world. Let's use it.
A consideration that is also being weighed by Sidney Thwaites, president of the Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Association, who suggested to JMEA membership that the island, located around 600 miles from Florida and whose total TEU capacity continues to increase, may also consider nearshoring as an option.
As potentially we're able to serve as a nearshore option that is more advantage to some of the other countries that had a higher tariff imposed on them. So we're telling our members to really look out and seek, a lot of input from, the supply chains, customers, etc., and others who are in the space. And while we're doing that, keep a lookout and keep agile for any opportunities that could come our way as a result of this.
I have heard that being mentioned, and the fact that relatively the Jamaican jurisdiction has less tariffs compared to elsewhere, maybe persons might shift their activities here, but there are other reasons why that wouldn't have happened in the past, because remember, we would not have had been subject to US tariffs before. So persons could have done it before, but there were other structural issues, business-related, investment-related, that would have prevented that. So if you can now fix those issues and start to accelerate progress in that area where now is, I believe, the most opportune time to think about it, then that would, augur well for our economic prospects.
However, it's not only manufacturing and exports that may potentially be impacted, as Executive Chairman of Sandals Resorts Adam Stewart, whose internationally renowned hotel chain attracts huge numbers of visitors from the United States, as well as other markets impacted by the new tariff regime, shared his considered perspective.
I think indirectly everyone will be infected. Once the US economy, which is the largest economy in the world, and a dear friend to Jamaica and the Caribbean, if there's any instability and confidence which will be reflected in the stock market, then it's fair to say that it could have a disruption for the visitors that may choose to come here. People tend to be, in times of insecurity, they may pull in their horns a little bit. They may wait another month or two. A lot of leisure and travel to Jamaica on the leisure side, on the resort side. It's a luxury, not a necessity for life. So, but if out of it the US economy thrives, it makes America more powerful. It might be a short-term gap to something more successful that's to come. So at this stage, I don't think it's having a material impact. It's definitely, you can feel it a little bit that people are a bit nervous. But we'll see where it lands. In the meantime, those of us in opposition will continue to push hard to promote and to remind the world that Jamaica has never been better to travel to.
And that was your business report. I'm Joel Crosskill.
Stay with us for sports. Up next with Jordan Ford.